Hi, my name is Barry Sterling Mitchell. I produce the Sterling Pro Football Net Point Power Rankings and the Pro Football Bias Plus reports. And this is Ben and Barry on football.
Hello out there. This is Ben Dickerson, your co-host. I am in my lovely vacation home in Orlando, Florida, preparing for the Flag Football National Championships. But right now, we got to talk about the NFL.
It's the first quarter on Ben and Barry on football. And again, you can find us at www.benandbarryonfootball and on the various social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course, YouTube. All right, Ben, let's kick off the first quarter. First quarter, Ben, let's talk about what happened last week. As a matter of fact, let's just make it some fun and go right to the intriguing game of the week last week.
What a game. What a game.
Can I pick them or can I pick them?
What a game. I don't even know what else to say. This game, not only was it an intriguing game to begin with, but there was intrigue throughout the game. From the beginning to the end, to the very end. Magnificent performance by both teams. Mistakes and all. Good stuff, bad stuff, coaching decisions. Unbelievable game.
You text me, which you're like, please watch the whole game.
Yes, because I didn't know if you were watching, and I was going to say, I didn't want to say what happened. I just wanted you to go and watch it because you have to watch the whole game to get the full impact.
And I watched most of the game. By the time you text me, I was already asleep.
Mm-hmm.
But again, having Game Pass, I can go back and I can watch it. But it was so momentous that they kept replaying it anyway. Right. And the highlights, and then everybody's breaking it down, and I'm hearing all of this stuff. And it's funny listening to people lament not having Herbert in the playoffs. It's like that hurt their heart or something.
Hurt mine.
Did it? Definitely
hurt mine. I had him in fantasy. I was carrying him over.
Okay. So Herbert goes like 9 for 9 to tie the game up, passing the ball. I mean, if you're talking about leaning on the quarterback to be able to get it done somewhat from the pocket and not really even to be dependent on his legs, knowing that his legs are there and they're as good as pretty much anybody's legs in the league, it's pretty impressive. You were very complimentary of Derek Carr last week and those guys hanging in there. So they tie it up. They go into overtime. They kick the field goal. Raiders do. They're up. And they have the ball back, as I remember. And they're setting up. It's about third down. It's a long field goal. They're not sure what they're going to do. And the Chargers coach takes a timeout.
Yes, the Raiders had the ball first, kicked the field goal. The Chargers then kicked the field goal. So now there's only a few minutes left in the overtime, and the prospectus for the tie is well into play.
Which everyone talked about all week as being some weird thing that possibly could happen. And but these two teams, they were like, well, they just come in the first minute of the first quarter, everybody just take a knee and let the clock run through. It's like, no, you don't do that. You play the game. But there you had a situation where that actually could have happened, could have took a knee, and it would have, went into a tie.
chances of ties in the NFL are so remote. We may have one tie, possibly two per season. It's so remote.
Doesn't happen.
So it's not something you go into the game thinking about. Obviously, you want to win. You play to win the game, right? So
I've heard that before.
Absolutely. But the crazy thing is, it was like the football gods were telling them, end this game in a tie. I'm maneuvering you to a tie. And I believe that the Raiders coaching staff heard them. And the Raiders coaching staff, and we found this out later, but I could tell by the way things were going when they got the ball back and were driving, that the thought of a tie strongly was in their minds. And the interim head coach said that in his post-game conference. He said, yes, we gave it some thought. Yes, we talked about it.
Gotcha.
Yes, we were going to, you know, and then the Chargers call a timeout. And I believe that calling that timeout actually changed the Raiders' minds and said, you know what? We're going to run two more plays. And if we get a little closer, we're going to kick this darn thing. And that's what they did. The Raiders never tried to stop the clock, and they had the ball.
Yeah.
Driving for the winning score, but they never tried to stop the clock. They were more than willing to possibly have two unsuccessful run plays and let the clock run out. I believe
they
that
were
is
kind of in a win-win situation. They kick the field goal.
Yes.
If they make it, they win. If they don't kick it, if they miss it or don't kick it, they win because they still get to go to the playoffs. And what you mentioned about the tie, I just took a quick look. The Steelers tied this season and the Lions tied this season, and that was it. So out of all the games that were played, there were only two ties.
Right.
2021-22 season. So like you say, the odds of that happening are really, really slim. And then you have that situation. And most people are saying that the Chargers coach, Brandon Staley, is it?
Yes.
His explanation for why made football sense. Is like, we figured they're going to run the ball. We wanted to try to get our best run defense in place. And football wise, okay, that's what you do. Irony, and you mentioned it last week, and and we looked at the statistics that the Chargers run defense left a lot to be desired.
Exactly.
So if you put your top run defense in, and Josh Jacobs then runs for, what did he go, 8 yards or plus or something like that? On that.
Which he had been doing the entire game, by the way.
You know what I'm saying? So you stopped absolutely nothing, and you put them close enough to make the field goal really a possibility. And that's probably the biggest, the saddest part about it is that, you got this great quarterback, but you just stinky run defense is not having that is what really is keeping you out of the playoffs. That is an amazing thought. You know what I mean? That you can have a great, great quarterback, but if your defensive line, if your run capabilities aren't there, you almost ordinary.
You have to play according to what you got. I mean, that's what teams do. Obviously, if they understand their situation and they're real about it, we have this great quarterback. Our run defense is bad. We understand that if a team comes in and they have a decent run offense and they run the ball on us and control the game, we're going to be in trouble. However, if we can at least slow them down, or we can score quickly on them, maybe get a lead, then our quarterback can hold them off. Because after a while, game script changes according to the score and the time of possession. Not time possession, but the score and where we are in the game, second quarter, third quarter, halftime, whatever. And that good run team now has to throw the ball to get back in the game. Once they have to do that, then they're going toward the Chargers' strength, which is their secondary. Not saying they have a great secondary, but it's the strength of their defense. Okay. And then that allows the Chargers to take command of the game. So if that's what you got to live and die with it. That's what they were doing. It actually worked. They got to overtime. They kept the score tied. The Raiders had the ball. The clock was running out. The chances of a tie were right there. I know they knew it. I don't remember hearing Brandon Staley say anything about them thinking about it. As the Raiders coach said, they were thinking about it. I do understand why he did what he did, but I think he wasn't, I don't know how to say this. It's like he wasn't feeling the vibe of how the game was going once the Raiders got the ball back and were going for that final drive, because I felt it. I'm like, these dudes, first of all, they don't want to turn it over. So they ain't going to throw it if they can help it. But they do want to try to put themselves in a position to have an opportunity to win the game. However, they know that if they can't, as long as they don't turn it over, they can still get the tie and they can still go to the playoffs. They had it all figured out. Seems like the Chargers did not.
All right. Well, like I said, that was my intriguing game of the week. It was the final game of the season. It will be remembered because it was a crazy season. Last week you said, hey, the Sterling net point power rankings, the Bias Plus reports is kind of like the Steelers. It never had a losing season, right?
All right.
And we ended up last week 50% on the nose, okay? But we talked about how crazy it is, you know, when you're looking at the last game of the season, because some guys don't even play their starters, and, you know, it's all types of not the normal team that they're putting out there because they're prepping for the playoffs, and, you know, it's situational football. So
yeah, it's tough to call the last game. It's tough.
I mean, you know, the Lions beating Green Bay, really.
I mean, you know, it was a possibility.
It's always a possibility, and it is the Lions, which we've talked about all year.
The game that really threw me was the Cowboys and the Eagles. Turns out, I thought it was going to be the other way around. I thought the Cowboys were maybe going to run their starters out there for the first quarter and then pull them, and that the Eagles would go for the win. They were home. The Cowboys are their arch nemesis. You know, I'm thinking they want to take a chance to pound them, and that would be their momentum going into the playoffs. Turned out exactly the opposite. Eagles pulled everybody. Cowboys left the starters in for almost the entire game. It's crazy.
Yeah. So Benny, last week, man, I was 50%. The thing about the pro football net point power rankings is it basically says what your team has done. And the question is, are you going to keep doing that? Are you going to do something different? And on the final game of the season, people are doing all types of stuff different. You mentioned, for example, you thought the Eagles were going to play like they wanted to win, and then they wound up sitting all of their starters, and they had a COVID outbreak anyway. So it kind of made sense to just, okay, look, you know, we're in. Let's not get anybody hurt. We can't, you know, we're already understaffed. And, you know, we're going to see this in the next piece as we go into the rankings. But I'm where the points per game and the net points for the Dallas Cowboys. You know, they say you want to put an asterisk. I want to put an asterisk right there. We'll talk about that later. So what happened with you?
I actually went 10-6. So that was pretty good. Same record I had previous week 17. I think I got a couple good pulls with picking the Seahawks over the Cardinals. And what was my other really good pick that I was proud of? Probably took Washington over the Giants, Titans over Texans, Saints, Jets. The Niners over the Rams I also selected.
Yeah, the Rams net point rankings had the Rams favored in that. Vegas had the Rams favored in that.
That is correct. But as I told you last week, when we talk about poor run defenses, the Rams have a poor run defense. And the 49ers are basically a running team. So that's why I went with the Niners. They did pull that game out. The Seahawks-Cardinals game, I just kind of went with the, Cardinals may play everybody, they may not. Division is still up in the air, but I think the Seahawks are going to be proud, and they're going to try to do something to go out on a good note, which they in fact did. A great game though, 38-30. Nice game.
Yeah, all of a sudden now the Seahawks want to play.
Well, it's there's a lot of questions with the Seahawks, and I'm sure on a later show we'll talk about things we expect to happen in the offseason and all that stuff. I know later on we're going to talk about Bloody Monday, but
yeah, that'll be in the fourth quarter when we talk about current events and hot topics.
Right. But there's a lot of questions about the Seahawks, primarily about Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll.
All right, let's take a quick look now at the rankings. So, Benny, the week 18 being the final game of the season, we're looking back now at the Sterling Pro Football Net Point Power Rankings, which pretty much sums up the full season of 2021/2022 and where everybody wound up in terms of net points. I usually put up the chart here where you can kind of see graphically what's going on. But let's go to the something that's a little more clear. And we're going to start off with tied, the average turnover differential for the regular season of 2021-2022. And this is how this rounded up. And as you can see, again, Indianapolis and Dallas tied for first in terms of turnover differential. And I mean, that's, you gotta like the two teams for that. I was surprised Green Bay was up there over that time period. And, Minnesota, now Minnesota's not a playoff team. Right. So Indianapolis, not a playoff team. Minnesota, not a playoff team. So these guys had other issues. And your top 10 is rounded out with, what is that, Seattle at actually number 10. It says 9, but that's number 10. Then you have New Orleans, New England, Buffalo, Tampa Bay, Minnesota, Arizona, Green Bay, Dallas, and Indianapolis, rounding out your top 10. Again, turnover differential is one of those stats where you can have both a positive and a negative number. You see on the right-hand side, teams that were in the completed the season in the negative. You will see, let me see, Tennessee, San Fran, Las Vegas. That looks to be the only playoff contenders on that. And on that side, other than Cincinnati and Philadelphia, which both broke even. So, thing about Dallas that's interesting, they were talking about Diggs, who had a great year for interceptions, but also apparently gave up a historic number of passing yards.
Yeah, I gotta stop going on Facebook and reading these posts from people that are talking about football. I understand he gave up a lot of yardage. That doesn't make him a bum. Okay? I understand that he got a lot of interceptions. That doesn't make him a Hall of Famer. You know what I'm saying? These guys, the Dallas defense is very young. First of all, the difference between the way they played this season and the way the Dallas defense played last season is night and day. I'm talking about midnight to 12 different. Okay. So why people would want to grind this guy up, I have no idea. Basically, what teams found out was he's a sucker for double moves.
Yep.
And usually when somebody beats you on a double move, they're going to beat you deep. So he got beat on a lot of double moves. But how about how many times he broke on the ball? And I don't know how many pick sixes he had. I can remember 2 off the top of my head. He may have had more than that. Okay, so I think that sort of kind of evens things out a little bit. Nobody's running back and looking at how many yards everybody else gave up. We could probably find it if we go to Pro Football Focus, though. I bet you we could. I'm sure that's a stat that they keep. But my thing is, again, I think folks are being way too hard on him for that big number of yards given up. And well, okay, I get it. It's mostly Eagles fans. So they're going to hate on a Dallas player no matter what. Anytime a Dallas player gets praise, that's what's going to happen. That's what I have to do. Stop reading those posts.
Yeah, because I think, even the people who brought it up, they didn't bring it up like they were, trying to grind on him. They were just trying to give him the balance. He's got a positive, he's got a negative. That's what it is,
As they all do.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Let's move on to the next category, average points against. And again, number 9 is duplicated there. I don't know why I let that slip. I thought I looked at that, but it's the Indianapolis is number 10. So you're looking at the 21-point group in terms of points against. They're giving up an average of 21 points. That's Dallas, Kansas City, my Niners. Indianapolis would be rounding out number 10, tied with Arizona, tied with Seattle. Then you've got Green Bay and Cleveland. Green Bay still in it, giving up 21. Buffalo is number 1 at 17 points per game. New England is number 2. That's going to make that an interesting matchup. We'll talk about that.
And, there's your intriguing game.
Yeah, potentially. New Orleans is out, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, because they were tied to the Niners winning.
Yes.
That's my spooky team. Tampa Bay and Tennessee tied at 20.8 points per game that they're giving up. Dallas giving up just a little bit more. And again, starting out that 21-point game, and my Niners are only 0.4 off of Dallas in terms of points given up. And we didn't have the season that Dallas had. Dallas had a pretty good season.
Yes, overall.
What did he say over here that you think might be interesting?
Well, the fact that Buffalo is number 1 in average points against is a good thing for Buffalo. Most people look at Buffalo and talk about Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs and all that stuff, mostly offensive stuff. Defensively, they've been playing well. They've been keeping scores down. They haven't gotten blown out. That's a great thing as far as a playoff team is concerned. New England being that high in points against is a good thing for them. However, they need games to go a certain way for them in order for them to win, because they're somewhat limited offensively. Good run game, but Mac Jones isn't, he's a rookie quarterback. He's shown a few warts after getting a lot of praise early on. Tampa Bay is Tampa Bay. You almost can't count them as this being a positive or negative. If I just look at the defense alone, I would say it's a bit of a negative. Good run defense. A lot of issues in the secondary. But Tom Brady makes up for a lot of that stuff. Tennessee, same deal. The reason I say it's the same deal is Derrick Henry's coming back. That makes a huge, huge difference for them. Other playoff teams. Dallas is Dallas. Dak needs to be on for them to be complete. But we've seen what happens when Dak is on. It's pretty dynamic. Kansas City, again, I told you early on. I told you middle season. I told you last week. I do not trust their defense at all. It's Jekyll and Hyde. Can't be trusted. San Fran, I think, is starting to get a little bit more solid defensively. But again, what's helping them is their run game is cooking. So when your run game is cooking, You're moving the ball, time of possession. The other team's offense is on the bench. Good job by San Francisco. Who's left? Arizona, Green Bay, the Rams. All three of those teams can have a lackluster day on defense, and their offense can still beat you. That's the way I see it.
I think number 17 might be in that same category, although I don't know.
Oh, I cannot forget the Cincinnati Bengals. Oh, my goodness. Shame on me. I got to mention the Eagles, too. They are a playoff team. Again, the Eagles kind of run the same way as the Tampa Bay and Tennessee. They have to have their run game going. They have to control time of possession. And they have to put points on the board, be it touchdowns or field goals. That makes their defense better. Cincinnati, I think they're progressively getting better over the course of the year. If we went back to week, 6 or something, week 6 or something, we would find that they've climbed the charts. I would venture to guess that they were pretty far down early on, but now they're up 17. I think that's a good thing for them.
So, looking at this bottom half here, the team that's in the playoffs with the worst defensive record
is the Las Vegas Raiders.
Raiders. So they don't care. They don't give about those stinking points.
The Raiders are the anomaly, and I hope I'm using the word correctly. You don't know what you're going to get from week to week from the Raiders. The Raiders are one of those teams that play as well as they need to play when they win. When they lose,
put it.
Yeah, I mean, they've won games that there's no way they should have won. They've lost games that I thought maybe they would, really have a good chance of pulling out. It's kind of a crazy squad, but they're on some kind of a run right now where that's a team that you just don't want to play.
When we talk about the coaching carousel, it's going to be interesting because the Raiders' coaching situation is listed up there with the list of potential coaching changes, but they have an asterisk next to it.
That's their interim coach. For that guy to be the interim coach, Bisaccia is his name, and for them to be doing what they're doing and staying together after all the things they've been through this season, I mean, that guy's got to get strong consideration.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that. Let's look at points for on average. Man, this is absolutely bananas. Okay. Dallas coming in number 1, 31.2. Tampa Bay number 2, 30.1. Buffalo 3, 28.4. Kansas City 28.2. The Chargers are the first non-playoff team. They're number 5, 27.9. New England 27.2. Cincinnati at 7. Tied with the Rams. That's probably why there's 7 there twice, but the Rams would be in 8th place, I guess. 27.1. Indianapolis not in there at 26.5. I'm surprised.
Yeah.
Green Bay at 26.5. 1.1 points above Arizona at 28.4. 0.4 points above the Eagles and the Niners. So all of those guys, and I said, I'm still sticking with it. The team that can score 28 points in these playoffs is going to have the best chance of winning. If you can put 28 up on the board. It's hard to put up 28 against a team like San Fran that controls the clock so much, runs the ball. The game is over in closer to an hour than most games, which are normally a 3-hour contest for an hour-long game. But, so there you go with your top half rounded out with Seattle right above that, Tennessee, Minnesota. On On your right side, again, average points for is 22 for Vegas. So in the net points, guess where they're going to be? Negative. right off the bat. Who's still left? Pittsburgh at 20.2.
Yes, we didn't talk about Pittsburgh. That means they were low on points against.
You're going up a team that's scoring 28.2. That's an 8-point average per game better than what Pittsburgh has been doing. Anybody left in the playoffs any further down?
No, that's it.
That's pretty much it. There's your points for. These are your scorers in the NFL.
Wow. I mean, you can't argue with 31.2 points per game by Dallas and 30 by Tampa Bay.
I can. I can.
You can? Oh, are you going to bring up a couple of blowouts, unnecessary blowouts per you?
Oh, you already brought it up. Thank you very much.
I knew you weren't going to let that go. I knew you were not going
empty calories. These are questionable points here.
Okay, that's fine. They're capable. Okay, these teams are capable. These teams put their foot on the gas and they don't let it up.
Capable of beating up hapless third-string squads.
So guess what? You take those games away, I bet you they'll still be where they are.
I bet you they won't.
They won't be far.
Guess what? When they looked at Dallas, and I don't have the chart in front of me, they looked at what they did against winning teams and what they did against losing teams, and there's a stark difference.
No, I understand that. I understand that they had issues with teams with winning records. I understand that. And that's a little bit of a stain on them. I'll give you that. But what's that got to do with the amount of points that they score on average?
Again,
the numbers are what they are.
If I'm playing my little sister,
I don't care.
I can put up 100 points on her, and I can walk away with my chest stuck out.
Yeah, but you talked about the Saints beat the Packers in game 1, and you talked about them for the next month.
That was also an anomaly.
Okay, well, this is an anomaly. So leave it alone.
I wouldn't call this if
put them on the schedule.
If the Saints is beating up on the Packers, they were probably scared the entire game. They were like, we got to keep scoring because this guy's going to come back at any moment. Dallas wasn't under that kind of pressure when they were playing the Eagles. They weren't worried about Minshew coming back at any moment.
What does pressure have to do with a team? If you get a team, okay, I got to remind you again, we played for Coach George Robinson. What did he say? You kill a gnat with a sledgehammer. That's what he said. They didn't tell the Eagles to play their third string. The Eagles decided to do that. They put them guys out there. Those guys are professional football players. They get paid. Okay? They went out there and they got their asses handed to them. Shame on them. What do you want them to do? Take a knee? How deep should Dallas go on their bench to make the game?
No, I didn't necessarily take a knee. I just didn't think that when they were up like 41-3, finishing out the first half, that they needed to be in a hurry up to try to get down and score again. You know, you damage your team as much by simply killing the clock when you're ahead as you do by putting up points. You're still eliminating their assets and their ability to win that game.
You're missing something.
What am I missing?
When you're in a position like Dallas was in against the Eagles, where they realize that these guys are playing lesser players, and we've already determined that we're going to play our starters, and this is our game plan, and these are the things that we're going to attempt to do. As they're having success, they're going to continue to attempt to do all the things that they plan to try to do. They don't have to adjust their game plan. They don't have to make any adjustments at all. Everything is going well. So as long as everything is going well, we're going to continue to go and do everything that we want to do well. Number one, it serves almost as a practice where what will happen if we do this or this? Number two, they're putting stuff on tape for the teams that have to play them in the future to give them more things to have to worry about. NFL teams do that, bro. They show stuff. to give you something else to have to worry about during the week prior to playing that. And that's what they were doing.
All right, we're going to beat this up enough there. So that's still your points for there, Benny. Dallas finished up the season in first place. Jacksonville finished up the season in last place. And when you look at that, the bottom half of that scoring list, you see a lot of the teams that are looking for new coaches. So there you go. Let's go to what we always talk about, net points. All right, net points, the difference between those points for and those points against, and that's what we utilize when we go into the next section, which will be the Pro Football Bias Plus reports, where we compare the net points and the turnover differentials of the two teams and see how they look in the upcoming matchups. But for right now, Dallas might have been number one in scoring, but Buffalo is number one in net points at 11.4. Dallas comes in number two at 10.1. New England. First of all, I got to give New England credit for being there, as a team and with a rookie quarterback, even though the same type of skepticism that I have about Dallas being able to score like that on better teams, I have that same level of skepticism about Mac Jones being able to operate as well against better teams. But I have a lot of respect for what he's done this year. I think he's done a bang-up job. So I'm not trying to take anything away from him. Right behind them at number 4, Tampa Bay. Right behind them at number 5, Kansas City. So that rounds out your top 5. I'm gonna let you go from there. What else do you see?
Well, I'm gonna jump over to the right-hand side column there from 17 on down to 32 and find the 2 playoff teams that are in the negative. And that would be the Pittsburgh Steelers, and right behind them, the Las Vegas Raiders. As you mentioned, they would be. Excuse me, minus 3.2 is not big, but it is minus. So when we begin to look at the games, the upcoming games, the first round of the playoffs, it doesn't bode well for them. Obviously, they're not going to get the bias. But these are 2 teams that have proven, especially just last week, that they can be formidable. Big Ben is feeling it. He's pretty much announced his retirement at the end of the season. The guys seem to be rallying around him. The defense is battling. This defense looked like they were about to pack it in at one point, but they're out there battling. And Big Ben looks fresh. Looks like he's got a little tiny bit more spring in those old ass legs. So who knows how far they can go? I tell you what, if you got to play Pittsburgh, you got to be on upset alert. Same thing with Vegas. After looking at that game last week, these guys will not go away. They just won't go away. So when you got to play Vegas, it's going to be a problem. We'll talk about the matchups later, but the fact that they're in the minus at this point of the season, throw that out, man. Forget about it.
Well, I mean, again, this reflects what they've done over the 18 games. And this is a new season now. Everybody's 0-0.
Right.
Even though when we look at the matchups, those records are going to carry forward because we're not just going to completely forget what you've done. But again, it's what you've done lately and, so often in the NFL. And again, looking down, I still see that you got Philly, San Fran, Tennessee, and Green Bay, Arizona, Cincinnati, all again. And we said this last week. You want to know where your playoff teams are? Look on your left-hand side, your top 10. In this case, your top 13. Mostly all of those teams. Who's missing? Who's not in the playoffs in that top 13? The Colts.
The biggest disappointment The biggest disappointment is the Indianapolis Colts. Everybody had the Colts going to the playoffs. Everybody had the Colts winning that game. Everybody had the Colts winning that game last week.
And by that game, you're talking about the Colts versus the last place Jacksonville Jaguars. As you can see, minus 12 in net points, whereas the Colts were 5.1. So that's about a 17-point spread.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. They lost to the Little Sisters of the Poor. This is crazy, man.
Now, I don't know what was more disappointing, Carson Wentz's performance or their running back, who I've called a phenom, Jonathan Taylor. They just could not get that thing going. I mean, they handed the ball off. It's not like they didn't give it to Jonathan, but I think that they were losing at the line of scrimmage.
Jacksonville did the same thing that everybody else does when they play Kansas City. When they play Indianapolis. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Load the box. Don't let Jonathan Taylor kill us. If we're going to lose, Wentz has to beat us. Wentz didn't get it done. He could not get it done. And it's not like they just kept pounding Jonathan Taylor because they threw the ball. They tried to get back in this game. They freaking lost the game 26-11. 26-11. They were behind and they couldn't come back. That's on Wentz. Taylor not getting off, I put on the offensive line. I don't know what happened to him. I don't know if the run plays that they called were diverse enough. I would have to go back and look at the game and see how many times they went between the tackles and how many times they tried to get outside. That could have made a difference. There had to be a weakness there somewhere. It's the Jaguars. There had to be a weakness there someplace. But wherever it was, they didn't find it. They didn't exploit it. And defensively, wow.
It's hard to think that the Colts got out-coached.
I don't even want to. Oh, God.
Bro,
I've been watching Hard Knocks. I got so much respect for the Colts coach and everything and the way they've handled themselves over the course of this season. This is the first time they did Hard Knocks through the season. I'm at a loss for words about what I saw last week. I really am. And them making it would have knocked somebody out. I don't know who it would have been. Maybe Pittsburgh, maybe. But you got to earn it. You got to earn it.
All right. Well, that wraps up the Sterling Pro Football Net Point Power Rankings portion of the show, completing the second quarter, completing the second quarter. And we're going to get ready for the Pro Football Bias Plus reports. Okay, Benny, so we talked so much about the Las Vegas Raiders against the Chargers, and now they get a chance to go visit the Bengals in Cincinnati. Now we're talking about a hot weather location going into a Cincinnati location. This weekend is supposed to be cold. I know the East Coast is. Cincinnati's not that far off, and when we're cold, they're usually colder. Bias Plus scored 9.2 favorites the Cincinnati Bengals. Are you counting out the Raiders finally?
I cannot count them out. I will say that the weather will be a small detriment to them, obviously, coming from the climate that they're used to. They were able to battle with the Chargers but that game was in LA, or was that game in Vegas? Hey, either way, doesn't matter really.
Otherwise,
yeah, right. Doesn't matter weather-wise. Cincinnati is a whole different thing. Not to mention that Cincinnati Bengals are extremely high, played really well last week. Joe Burrow has impressed me immensely this season. I can't say enough good things about him. Having come in the same quarterback class as Herbert, those are the top two guys right now for me as far as that quarterback class is concerned. There's no question that he has a hell of a good group of weapons offensively. The only question with the Bengals would be their defense. They're kind of a hot and cold defense. I can't really put my finger on one particular area that they're extremely weak in. I don't think they have any extreme weaknesses. Other than that, I have to go with the bias on this one and say if they're the favorite in my eyes. They are the home team. They're playing well. If I'm not mistaken, just about everybody is healthy. I got to go with the Bengals. I love the Raiders. I'm sure they're going to put up a great fight. I'm not going to say that I don't think that they can win this game because they've pulled off miracles before, but not this time, man. Not this time. Maybe if it was in Vegas, it might be a different story. I don't know. But, yeah, I got to go with the bias and go with the Bengals.
Yeah, I mean, Vegas is going with the Bengals. They're a 5.5-point favorite. And, you know, when I'm looking at some of the different stats, the only stat on the offensive side that favors the Raiders is that they are at a higher percentage of pass plays than Cincinnati. And that's not necessarily going to be a good thing for them. Cincinnati pretty much handles, you know, is favored in every other area. So I'm with you. And I think, again, Joe Mixon, you know, that run game, they've had that also. They have all the different, you know, attack capabilities. You know, they can run a power type game because with Mixon, you can run any of that stuff, you know, and just put an extra tight end. It's a power run. You know what I mean? You don't have to change it back necessarily with Mixon. And, you know, and as a wide receiver, you know, he's him and what's the kid's name? I'm forgetting his name here.
Jamar Chase.
Jamar Chase, you know, just an interesting connection, but it's that special connection, you know. And Ben, real quick, like, do you know, let's say in the PTTFL league right now, where like you have a connection between a quarterback and a receiver, that's kind of just like a relationship thing where you're like, yeah, I know when we play these guys, him and him, you got to watch them too. Y'all have anything like that in the PTTFL right now?
Yeah, actually we do.
Really?
Actually we do, yes.
Okay.
I don't know if I want to. Yes, we
you
do.
Want to give away that intelligence, that intel. Yeah. We know who you are out there.
Everybody kind of knows that certain teams, especially if they have a pretty good quarterback, they all have their favorite receiver. Some have two, but there's always that one. And there's always that one you have to look for in the middle of the field, and there's always that red zone guy. It's just, I'm telling you, that's why I love flag football. It allows guys to continue to get their football fix without putting on pads and helmets and killing each other. You know what I mean? But the same kind of things still bear themselves out. As far as
football, you still got to, you know, control time and space, make first downs, complete passes.
Absolutely.
Do you guys block in your league?
Yes.
Okay. So it's, at least it retains that level of physicality from when we played rough touch. You know, that's where the PTT of tough touch, you know.
Yeah, there's definitely some differences though. But I tell you what, most of the differences between rough touch and flag have to do with keeping the quarterbacks healthy. If you remember correctly, back in rough touch, as long as you didn't hit the quarterback in the head, you were good. You know what I mean? So pass rushers could come full speed and blow him up anywhere in the body, shoulders and below, as long as they got 2 hands on him. But in flag, you cannot hit the quarterback's arm. If you hit the quarterback's arm, that is roughing the passer, automatic 15 yards, automatic first down.
I mean, we're reaching for a flag, right? Can't you have incidental contact if you're trying to grab a flag?
Flag's around your waist. Your arm is up here.
Okay. All right.
Mm-mm.
All right. Well, anyway, that was a divergence from the Raiders at the Cincinnati Bengals. Ben is going with the bias plus of 9.2, which favors the Cincinnati Bengals. Next up. All right, Benny. This is a game that I'm interested in. Patriots at the Bills. Bias plus score 2.1 favors the Buffalo Bills. Look at that little teeny weeny bias of 2.1. Yes. That's less than a field goal on average. Better. The Buffalo Bills were better than the Patriots. But I'm really looking to see Mac Jones throw the ball against a better competition. You know, if he goes out and shows out. Now, the Buffalo Bills, I think, are probably better at pass defense than they are run defense, which means that Patriots, if they're smart, they're going to run the ball like they did in the wintry game.
Yes.
And that's going to keep it close between the two. But the Patriots defense had been a little iffy lately, whereas they were like top notch at one point. I mean, they were like, you know, if you could almost depend that no matter what Mac Jones did, they were going to pretty much be okay because of that defense. So if they're back to form, then you know, this is going to pretend to be the type of game that the bias plus score actually says it's going to be.
All right,
I'm ready.
So look, I'm in the middle of making a video with my homie right here, right? So we just talking about football.
Okay.
But so y'all can do whatever. Or
is that one? Hey Ben, is that one of your players?
It's 2 of my players.
All right, we're gonna get ready to kick the video off. Ask them to stick their head back there so I can ask them about this bias, but they think real quick.
Okay. Come on.
What are you talking about?
So we do a bias plus report. We take the points.
Don't be shy. Step right up.
Oh, we ain't shy. We told Ben he didn't have to get up. He was good.
Tell the legends, right?
Yeah.
The legends. What's up, fellas? I'm Barry.
I know you very well, sir.
Yeah, you
It's Chris's son.
Chris dad.
Chris dad. I played with Chris all my life. I played Oakland Wildcats all that. I know you very well.
How you guys doing?
All right,
Great.
All right, your coach there. This is the part of the show where we're looking at the matchups for the upcoming weekend, Wildcard playoffs, getting ready to kick in. I don't know if you guys are fans of any team. Any of you guys fans of any particular team?
I'm an Eagles fan.
Oh, Lord. Any Philadelphia team.
Any Philadelphia team.
And?
What?
Both you Eagles fans?
That's who I root for.
Eagles fan. We Eagles fans.
Oh, you standing together as Eagle fans?
Any Philadelphia team.
Yeah.
All right, we ain't got to that game yet. The game we're talking about are the New England Patriots at the Buffalo Bills. My bias plus score 2.1, which is a teeny tiny bias plus score, favors the Buffalo Bills. Who you guys got?
I'm not going against Belichick, me personally.
I like Buffalo.
You like Buffalo?
I think Buffalo run game is way better than New England defense in front. So I think Buffalo Bills run game is going to be the impact of the game.
It has gotten better. Singletary's looking good right now.
The Buffalo run game is better than the New England Patriots run defense, eh?
Yeah, I think so.
Interesting.
I'm not going against Belichick. Point blank, period. I'm just not. That's just how I feel. He ain't been in the playoffs in a year, and he got something to prove. A very focused Bill Belichick is not the guy that I want to see for my first round matchup. That's just how I look at it.
Can a very focused Bill Belichick put the game plan together that can overcome any of the rookie deficiencies of a Mac Jones?
Well, they passed it 2 times last time and won, right?
3 times.
Not that game, bro.
I'm just saying. Like,
It was 100-mile-an-hour wind.
Listen,
It's supposed to be like 0 degrees. It's going to be super frigid.
It's going to be cold, but it's not going to be windy. But either way, if you can run the ball that many times and win an NFL game,
and that's gonna be key though. Running the ball in the cold, they're not gonna be able to catch that ball.
It is.
It's gonna be
now you guys question New England's run defense. What about Buffalo's run defense? Because you know New England's coming with the run. Ramondre Stevens is no joke.
Yeah, I think Buffalo run defense is a slight better than the Patriots. If the Patriots can get a passing game going, I think they'd be all right. But I don't see Buffalo beating New England.
All right, Benny, let's get the coach's take on this. Let's see what he got to say real quick before we move to the next match.
Buffalo, of course.
Ben's taking Buffalo. You heard it here first.
You like the colors.
Thank you, fellas. I appreciate that. You guys will be on national YouTube shortly.
Those guys are pretty astute football guys. You're lucky you got 2 pretty good guys. They didn't really open up like they normally would if we were just standing out on the field talking. But yes, I'm going to take the Buffalo Bills. I feel like they feel like they know what they need to do to beat the Patriots. They are not overwhelmed by the whole Belichick mystique. I can understand fans like my man saying that, he's not going to go against Belichick. How many times? I'm not betting against Jordan. I'm not betting against Belichick. I'm not betting against Brady. I understand that. I really do. But I think the Buffalo Bills run game has improved to the point where their offense is a lot more diverse, meaning that they need a little bit less from Josh Allen. He's the guy that you have to get pressure on. He's the guy that you want to rattle to get Buffalo off of their game. And because Devin Singletary has now somehow turned into a valid running back over the last couple of weeks, and their offensive line has learned how to run block efficiently, timing is down, everything is looking good. That's almost a new added element to their offense. The Patriots will be formidable. The Patriots will run the ball. Ramondre Stevenson is not a joke, but I don't think he can do it on his own. And Damian Harris is a little bit nicked. So what's going to happen probably is either Buffalo's going to get out to a lead or it's going to be a tight game, nip and tuck. And either way, Mac Jones is going to have to be the difference for the Patriots, and I don't think he can do it.
All right, there you go. There you go. Your skepticism with Mac Jones is right there with mine. But again, I think in both of our cases, it's a skepticism that's married with respect for the fact that where he is as a rookie and has come as far as he has. Considering that I understand only 1 or 2 years in college. Like he wasn't a 4-year starter or nothing like that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? All right, going with the Buffalo Bills, going with the bias. Next up. Oh, okay. Well, you want to get the Eagle fans back real quick? Okay, because Philadelphia.
You know what they're going to say.
Buccaneers bias plus score 6.4 favors the Buccaneers, baby. I love to hear this rationale.
So
always get cursed out.
We got Philadelphia Eagles and Tampa Bay Buccaneers. If you want to say something now about your Eagles, you guys say it now before you go. Okay? The bias plus score is 6.4. Now, that doesn't mean that they're picking – that's not a point spread. What they're saying is if you look at the points that have been scored and the points that have been had – each team has had scored against them, and we take the difference, that's saying that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 6.4 points better than the Eagles. That's all that means.
They dominated their game in favor of at a 6.4 point per game average.
Right.
You know, and better than the Eagles did. You know, so everything's relative here. But either way, if you go to Vegas, I think Vegas right now, in terms of this, Tampa Bay 9-point favorite. So they're 9 point, which is pretty big by Vegas standards. What do you guys got there, Eagle fans? Tell me what you gonna do.
First and foremost, if it's 9 points, I'm taking on points. Because my Eagles ain't getting beat by that much. But,
so your Eagles not gonna get beat by 9 points.
If the coach does the smart thing and not try to outsmart himself and just run read option all game, RPOs would be good. Just run RPOs. Like, just keep it simple, man. Let Jalen do what Jalen does.
Listen, we got the number one run defense in the league. Run offense and number one offense in the league.
Just run the ball.
Just run the ball. That's all we have to do. And our defense.
It's just that simple. Just run the ball.
Run the ball.
You see RPOs.
That's how we won the last 5 games.
When we lose, it's because he got Jalen out there throwing 20-25 times a game.
Let me say real quick, it's interesting that you use that RPO thing because, on Facebook, you know how you have those Facebook memories and those things come back to you that you did in the past? Yeah. The year that the Eagles won the Super Bowl, I wrote a blog. I have a page called the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings that said that I thought Nick Foles had a distinct advantage because he could run RPOs at a high level because he ran regular option a lot when he was with Chip Kelly and those guys. So he was kind of an option guy anyway, even though nobody really believed he could personally run the ball because he wasn't that fast. So an RPO where it was a pass option as opposed to a run option, I thought fit him perfectly. But in you guys' case, your man Hurts is actually running the ball. A lot of your run stats are from him running the ball.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You really want that? You think that's going to work against Tampa Bay?
That's the best way.
That's the only way. That's the only way I see.
That's the only.
That's the only way I see him winning the game.
Are inconsistent. You can't rely on them.
Now my contention about Tampa Bay is that Tom Brady's best friend, most reliable asset is the Gronk.
The Gronk.
When in doubt, Gronk him. I've said that year after year. I think that he's about got Gronk. He's like one of the few people left, right?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, it's pretty much, yeah.
Leonard Fournette came back to practice yesterday, but that don't mean he's going to play.
Oh, he's going to play.
So can y'all stop Gronk?
But
I tell you what. Yes, you're right. Gronk is the only guy left of the regular starting lineup type receivers. Okay. The kid, Cyril, whatever his last name is, Cyril Grayson. Thank you.
The track star.
Right, track star. Speed. You like speed. This man loves speed.
Love it.
Love speed. And Tyler Johnson, nice reception, nice short yardage guy, sideline routes, stuff like that. Possession guy. That's what I was trying to say. So it's not like they're hurting. Okay. Mike Evans should be okay. So yeah, we're not right there. Gronk is not the only guy left. They do still have Mike Evans, although he's slightly
Fournette's back too, right?
Leonard
Fournette should be back, yes.
Now the Eagles have a strong run defense. Their defensive line is one of their better assets. So that's going to be an interesting matchup of strength on strength Fournette against that defensive line.
Nobody has stopped Fournette yet.
Nobody has stopped Fournette yet, especially in the playoffs.
That's right. Well, he's got all that playoff history from last year, and then he came back this season and pretty much proved that was no fluke. And the great thing about Fournette is he is a true 3-down back.
All right, Benny. So, Bias Plus score 6.4 favors the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Who you got?
I'm taking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
He's
obviously taking the Eagles.
They're taking the Eagles.
Yes.
Eagles.
All right, guys. Best of luck in that. And if you guys get by there, I hope my Niners get a chance to see you.
Yeah, that'll be a good one.
That'll be a good one. Now you talking about teams running the ball. All right,
yeah.
Who we at next?
We got next.
Speaking of the Niners, baby.
Dallas Cowboys versus the San Francisco 49ers. Let me just say this real fast before you even give me any buildup to this, because I know your team is playing, and I know you try to stay unbiased about that. First of all, I know you think the 7.5 bias is a little fluffed up from what they did to the Eagles last week.
Good word, fluff. I like that word.
Fluff. It's good. Yes, it is fluff. If you just look at the numbers by themselves, yes, it's fluff. However, the Cowboys have actually been playing their games and managing their personnel pretty well over the last few weeks, if you've really paid attention. Because Pollard has a little foot issue, I think he would have played even more if he was 100%, so they could ease up on Zeke a little bit. But I believe they've been easing up on Zeke in practice to the point where each week he's beginning to look a little bit better running the ball. And Pollard is still okay to come in and spell him a little bit. You got all the receivers back. Everybody's off of COVID. Everybody's back. CD, Amari, even Cedric Wilson. And guess what? Cedric Wilson is an X factor. Gallup going down kind of opened things up for Cedric Wilson, who, in my opinion, is actually better than Gallup. Gallup's been around longer. You know, he was the more veteran guy, so that seemed to be the guy that they preferred, but he's been hurt a lot, and now he's out. So Ced Wilson is going to be a huge component in this Dallas offense. Defensively, here's the problem for Dallas. The kind of stuff that the 49ers come at you with offensively is very, very difficult to defend. At any moment, they can unleash George Kittle. Like, you don't know when it's going to happen, but you know the potential for it to happen is there, and it could be extremely dangerous. As long as they got that hold over Dallas's head during the week, Dallas has to prepare for George Kittle. He didn't do nothing last week. So he didn't do anything the week before, in fact. Doesn't matter. He's on the team. He's healthy. He's blocking his behind off as they're running the ball all over everybody. So he's earning his keep. But if they unleash him in the passing game, along with Debo and along with Brandon Ayuk, who's out of the doghouse and making big catches, that's going to be a problem. My only issue with the Niners is if Dak comes out hot, are the Niners going to be able to hold him down? If he can drive down the field and get a touchdown, a field goal, touchdown, 2 more field goals, it's going to be rough keeping up with them. But if they can slow Zeke down and Dak's not 100% on his game, Dak has to be great. If Dak, I'll make it simple. If Dak is great, Dallas wins. If Dak is not great, Dallas loses. That's as simple as I can put it. And I think Dak will be really good, and this will be a really good game, but he won't be great. I'm taking the Niners. It took me a long time to get to, didn't it? I was thinking this out as I go. I don't pre-plan these.
Talk yourself into it.
I talk myself into it.
Well, first of all, let me say, as the Madden guy on the show, I play the game virtually. And Galloway was in the game that I played. And I played him twice. And I lost huh?
Who?
Is it Galloway? Who?
Michael Gallup?
Gallup. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Galloway. Yeah, you know where I'm going.
Joey Galloway.
Yeah.
Way back. Ohio State. Tampa Bay. He played for Tampa Bay.
I just have memory lapses back to what Joey Galloway of all places.
Yeah.
But he was in the game, so he was a factor. Dak was on this game, but I was good, except I threw an errant interception at a really poor time in the first game.
Did you
in the second game, I did a better job at matching up personnel, and that always makes a difference, when you're coming out. Sometimes when they're coming out with a 3 wide out, I can get away with a 4-4 with extra linebacker because I got really good linebackers, you know.
Right. Did you use Garoppolo?
No, I've been playing with Lance all along.
Okay.
So, you know, but that interception, that was completely on me. I had a man, he was going out like on the square out to the sideline. If I had hit him a microsecond or two earlier, he was so wide open, it was ridiculous. But he kept going out and he ran into where the defender was zoned up. So by the time the ball reached, the defender was like, thank you. You know, you're going to throw it out here. I've been sitting out here by myself for the last half hour, you know.
Right.
But I did a much better job in the second game. So I went 1-1 against these guys. Vegas is kind of weird. And as I was looking at some of the different odds, they got Dallas as a 3-point favorite. So in actuality, based on the numbers, I'm giving Dallas a little extra, you know, something here because, they inflated their numbers and it's showing up in the net points. They were the top scoring offense out here. So again, the question is now, Dallas, you're not playing the third string squads or the second string squads. Everybody's going to be out there. You might as well consider this is all first string. So this is going to be real good. The misdirection that San Fran runs is going to be very helpful in offsetting the speed of Michael Parsons and some of that rush that they have. And it'll be interesting to see if our rush, you know, and we've got what's his name on the one side that, you know, him and his brother, you know.
Oh,
Bosa, you know. So we have talent on defense. And, you know, so you talk about that defense, some of the talent that they have. We have some talent also, you know, much less our middle linebacker is one of the best in the league, you know. So I'm looking forward to seeing this. I can understand why Dallas is favored in the bias plus. And I'll finish it off looking at one interesting set of stats. Offensively, the Niners are actually better than Dallas in the red zone. We're completing 66.67% of our attempts at scoring. We score rather 66.67. They score 63.6. So we're a little bit better scoring in the red zone. And defensively in the red zone, you're scoring on us only 56.67% of the time, but you're scoring on Dallas 60.87% of the time. So when it gets to the red zone, it looks like we're scoring a little bit better and our defense is holding up a little bit better. And so I think that kind of goes with what Vegas is saying with that 3-point favor. This wouldn't be a closer game than this particular bias with the fluff built in would lead you to believe.
Yeah, I feel better about picking the Niners now that you said all that. And I'm just saying, when I think about it, I'm not going to say the Niners have more red zone options, but I do like their red zone options better.
Okay. All right. Next up. Okay. Just like you said, don't count out the Raiders. You can't count out Big Ben. However, this is one of the larger bias plus scores of the weekend, if not the largest. Yes, it is the largest. Bias plus score 10.1 favors those Kansas City Chiefs. But you don't trust the Chiefs here. Look at that big bias favoring the Chiefs, and you don't trust the Chiefs. Man. How much do you not trust the Chiefs?
I don't trust the Chiefs defense. That's what I don't trust. And didn't these two teams play earlier in the season? I'm sure they did. And I think, check that for me, because if I'm not mistaken, the Chiefs handled the Steelers pretty well. But I want to make sure that, while you're checking that, I will say this. The Steelers' offense is built to beat the Chiefs, if you ask me, okay? They got a nice power running game. They got a bell cow run back in Najee Harris who doesn't get hurt and doesn't get tired, okay? He runs inside well. He runs outside well. and he can catch the ball. That alone is a problem for the Chiefs defense. On top of that, the wide receiver core is a nice one. Deontay Johnson, although he sometimes has lapses in concentration and does drop the ball, but he's a pretty dynamic receiver. Claypool's a dynamic receiver. And the tight end, Freiermuth from Penn State, has made a name for himself in his rookie year. So the Pittsburgh offense, although it runs through Ben, they got lots and lots of weapons, and they can come at you in all different ways. That's a problem for the Kansas City defense. So the only thing we have to worry about for Pittsburgh offensively is which Big Ben are we going to get? Is he going to have some life in his arm? So if he's got life in his arm, they're going to be all right.
The Chiefs beat the Steelers 36-10.
That's what I thought. Yes. That was a bad game. And after that game, I probably said, Ben is done. His arm is shot. Hopefully this is his last year. I probably said something along those lines. But since then, they've modified the game plan a little bit. And I don't know what to say. I was impressed with Pittsburgh in the last couple of weeks. And I think they're going to be a formidable opponent. That being said, I'm still going to take Kansas City. I think that Kelsey and Hill and Mahomes. No, you know what? No.
You cracking me up here, buddy.
No. First of all, you know I can't go with the bias on every game. I'm taking Pittsburgh. I'm taking Pittsburgh. All that stuff I just said, I'm taking Pittsburgh. I think the Chiefs are going to stumble. I think the Pittsburgh defense, if they're flying around and they're confident and they play some version of a cover two, get in it, get out it, give me a little man, give me mostly zone, double this side. They're going to have to be very diverse. They're going to have to show a lot of different defenses, excuse me, or a lot of different sets. But if they can show enough different sets to keep Mahomes on his toes and get him running around and breaking loose from the pocket, which we know can be a problem for him, they can win this game. I'm taking the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is Big Ben's last hurrah, man. This is it.
Wait a minute. Which Big Ben are you talking about? Roethlisberger or Dickerson? The last hurrah part. Ben.
This is far from my last hurrah.
So Vegas has Kansas City 12.5-point favorites.
Oh my God.
But
Pittsburgh at all.
In terms of offense, it looks like that the Steelers they run a higher percentage of pass plays than Kansas City does. That is an interesting stat. And I remember, like I said, you said they can come at you a lot of different ways. Well, they have a lot of different talent that they can come at you with. So often the only way they come at you is they line up 5 wide and run them straight and turn around real fast. So Ben can throw that ball in 2 seconds. That's the game that they've been playing. So
pretty much, but you know, these guys are very skilled. Most of them have really good speed. Any one of them can break a long run if you miss a tackle. So those little slants and hooks and those comebacks on the sideline and those curls up in the middle of the field between the hashes, they're all dangerous. And then they send Freiermuth down the seam. They have the formula.
Well, it's interesting that you talked about Ben's ability to throw the long ball. I think I was defending his ability to throw the long ball early on when people were saying, that he couldn't. To me, it didn't seem to be so much a thing of arm strength as more as accuracy. I didn't see him completing. I saw him throwing a lot of them, but I didn't see him completing as many. Now he don't have Antonio Brown running them down anymore. So that's a question of, his connection with his receiver on some of those deep passes, or maybe just the fact that since they're 5 wide, he's just one-on-one in this tighter coverage, and you got to win. The receiver just has to win in those situations. But they are better than Kansas City in terms of protecting in the red zone. They're only giving up scoring 50% of the time, whereas Kansas City is giving it up 57%. So,
okay,
10-point favoring the Chiefs. You're going to go against the bias. You're going to go with the Steelers.
Yes.
All righty, Ben. We have our intriguing game of the week.
Oh, you wanted to. You know what? You got a little Cardinals obsession.
Wait till I tell you why.
Okay. I'm interested.
Okay. So I'm doing the numbers. The Rams are ranked 6th in net points at 5.2. The Cardinals are ranked 9th at plus 4.9.
Okay.
So what's that, like 0.3 difference?
Yeah.
Okay. The Cardinals, in terms of turnover differential, are ranked 4th at plus 0.7. Cardinals. Now, what have people been saying about Matt Stafford? As long as he doesn't do what? Turn the ball over. The Rams are ranked 14th in average turnover differential at 0.1, which means that the Rams are net points 3 better than the Cardinals, but the Cardinals' turnover differential are plus 3 better than the Rams. Ergo, the bias plus favors the Cardinals.
That's crazy. That's crazy. So on the surface, you go, wait a minute. The Rams should be favored. And I'm sure Vegas has the Rams favored. I don't know by how much, but I'm sure they do. But
yeah. They Los Angeles favored by 4.
By 4, that's still pretty tight.
Yeah.
4 is a weird number.
It is. Normally you see 3s and 3.
You normally see 3 or 6 or 7. Yeah. Wow.
Makes sense that it would be the intriguing game of the week now.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with the fact. Now, again, let's remember that makes 3 playoff teams out of the NFC West. So, NFC West, baby.
Well, that just goes to show when I tell people the NFC West is the toughest division in football, probably that's what I'm talking about. But yeah, you know what? There's a lot to think about in this game. There's a whole lot to process. These teams, if you go down man for man, are pretty even. There's there is. There's one really big difference maker offensively, and that's Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp is, in my estimation, he should be hands down the offensive player of the year. Cooper Kupp is way better than all the other receivers that are going to play in this game. But if you take Cooper Kupp out and you look at Beckham and Jefferson as opposed to AJ Green and Christian Kirk, it's not that big a difference. It's not that big a difference. Now, tight end wise, you're looking at Tyler Higbee, and you're looking at Zach Ertz. Oh, Zach Ertz. He's not eligible for comeback player of the year because his comeback happened in the middle of the season between one team and another. Zach Ertz has new life. This is Zach Ertz 2017 we're looking at. This is crazy. So I give the Cardinals the advantage there. Kyler moves better than Stafford, obviously. Stafford has had some issues in the pocket, strip sacks, throwing picks. I'm going with the Cardinals.
Going with the bias.
I'm going with the bias. I'm going with the Cardinals.
As topsy-turvy as that is. And, you know, I saw Chandler Jones. We talked about him. Now, of course, I had J.J. Watt coming back. Potentially, J.J. Watt could be there.
Yeah. I heard he's on the he's got some deer antler going or something.
Okay, well, you know, but Chandler is
Ray Lewis,
one of the top free agents next year.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, he's a beast.
So, you know, he's looking to make a name for himself and get a contract. That's for sure. So this is going to be an interesting game. This is the intriguing game of the week. I'll be writing my blog on the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings Facebook page on this. And we'll look at this again. We'll break it down a little further and potentially maybe even I'll just cut out this segment and add it to the link. Usually I just have the 2 helmets. You know, I like that.
Right
there. So, but in any event, that would be Monday night, Benny. So again,
how great is this? We got games on Saturday and Sunday and Monday. Beautiful. Playoffs,
awesome.
Baby.
Isn't that awesome?
Playoffs. Let's go.
Look, let me tell you, you know, and we're in the thick of it on basketball. So basketball's fun. Football's fun. I love this time of year. Baseball is still off in the distance. I don't have to think about that. It's not interrupting much in my mind because, you know, I'm not the baseball guy. But, you know, again, this is Ben and Barry on football. You can find us at www.benandbarryonfootball and on your leading social media. And I forgot to mention the podcast, Benny, Spotify, Anchor Podcast, etc. We're all there. So, all right, that wraps up the third quarter. Let's move to the fourth quarter. All right, Benny. So fourth quarter, we're going to kick the fourth quarter off. We're going to talk a little bit about hot football topics and current events. And I want to lead off with a clip from, guess who? Ben and Barry on football. How's that? All right, let's try this out, see if we can do this right. There we are.
Any last words from you? One last word I got, yo, the flag football national championships are coming up. I know I keep saying it when we're a week closer. I will be taking everything I'm using right here for this, except for my bar behind me. I'm going to have to open up a new bar when I get down there because next week I will be in sunny Orlando, Florida for the flag football national championships. So with that being said, still will have a show. I'll just be broadcasting from down there. I don't know what the weather's like down there. But that's where I'll be. But going down with the Philly Legends, 35 and over, 8-man, everybody's eligible, flag team. And that's my squad. We're the number 1 seed going in. We hope to win this thing. We're going to do our best. So I can say let's go Legends.
Wasn't too bad. It's a little, can't hear it real well.
But you got the gist of it.
Oh, yeah.
And you are now down there in sunny Orlando.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. All right. Let's skip by some of this other stuff here. So congratulations, Corey Clement got a chance to play last week against the Eagles. The Eagles showed him some good love, I understand, as a returning hero from their Super Bowl. I keep wanting to say Franklin Ajayi, the running back, came back, and I understand he retired, so they had some ceremonies going on. Corey scored. He had a chance to have a couple of nice-looking plays. He could be an X factor in the Niner game. What do you think, Benny?
That's quite a possibility. He returns kicks and punts, or does he just return kicks?
One of the things that is interesting is I used to say is that talk about the speed, like he's not real fast, but they always got him back there returning kicks and punts. So he does a little bit of both. I think kicks more so than punts in this particular
Yeah, because
case.
I know they put CD Lamb back for punts sometimes. Well, there's a lot of things that go into being a good kickoff return man. Number one, you got to be able to catch the doggone ball. You don't want to fumble a kickoff because that's a live ball. Number two, you don't have to be super fast, but you have to have a little shiftiness with you, and you have to be a good decision maker. So if he fills those, if he checks off all those boxes, then that's why he's back there. So yes, he will get in the game at a minimum returning kicks. And I think he plays, I think he's a gunner too. I think he's a gunner on the punt kickoff team too. So he'll be out there. He'll have his chance to make a difference.
Well, you know, his dad enjoyed it. He had a chance to go down there, you know, with his grandfather there and enjoy that. It's really nice when the homeboy gets a chance to come home, you know. And of course, you know, his dad's an Eagle fan, so he has those conflicting emotions. Come down and see your son put a whooping on your team. So that's always fun. All right, Benny. It was Bloody Monday. NFL head coaches, GMs, and more are being released. Football is life. That's why we have the yin yang sign there. That's my universal sign for life. Go ahead. What you got to say about it? Now, first of all, your team probably saw more headlines about the Giants and what's going on with them than I've seen of any other team out there.
Because what they did is unprecedented for that franchise. They've changed GMs before. They've changed coaches before. But they didn't really chop both. Gettleman retired, but I would not be surprised if it was a slightly forced retirement. I think probably they gave him the impression or even came out and told him that they were planning to fire him. But because of his years of service, they probably gave him the option to retire. Joe Judge, the head coach, has only been there for 2 seasons. Obviously, he wanted to stay. Obviously, he thought he was going to stay. They may have even given him a vote of confidence somewhere along the line.
I thought they did. Didn't we say in one of the previous
I'm pretty sure I heard that. Yeah, but he put his foot in his mouth a couple
quarterback
times.
And the coach.
Yeah, he put his foot in his mouth a couple times too many, man. Really. Come on. You're the head coach of the New York Football Giants. You got to hold it together a little bit better than that. If you're going to give me a rant, you want to see a Giants coach give a rant, go back and look at some Parcells tape, okay? That's how you rant, right? Not this other mess that this guy's coming up with. So he's gone. Gettleman's gone. The plan by ownership is to actually hire a new GM and then have the GM do the head coach search. So we'll see what happens. All I know is if I could get Brian Flores, I would take him in a heartbeat.
Really?
In a heartbeat.
Now, the thing that they were saying about Flores, because that was a surprising firing to a lot of people.
Yes.
He had just gone like 7 in a row, a win streak or something like that.
8 of his last 9.
Huh?
He won 8 of his last 9.
8 of his last 9. But then they're talking about communication issues and like, I'm hearing all of this conversation about people who come. Is he out of the Belichick tree?
I believe so.
About people coming out of the Belichick tree and acting as if they were Belichick in terms of communication.
Okay.
But they're not. So this stuff is not flying as well. There's another coach, and I'm trying to think of who he is that just got let go. Same situation.
Lack of communication.
Yeah, it's like, you know, Belichick can basically tell you nothing and, you know, act distant and all of that, even though maybe
but he's cool with it.
He's not.
But he's cool with it because that's really him. if someone tries to imitate him, it may not come off as well. That may be Flores's case. I think the other guy that had communication issues with his team is Mike Zimmer with the Vikings.
I think that might be the person.
Yeah.
So
yeah, Zimmer's been on the hot seat since the season started. So, you know, they're saying Pete Carroll's on the hot seat, but I don't know about that because he's only 2 years into a 5-year contract. Not that that means anything, but that's a big commitment to just toss out, you know? It's hard to say. I heard a rumor that Miami is going to bring in Urban Meyer for an interview. Can you believe that?
I'm having a hard time thinking that Urban Meyer really wants to come back to the pros.
I would be surprised if he wanted to come back to the pros. I'm thinking he's going to go back to TV or go back to college.
Right.
But,
so I would be surprised at that.
If he feels like he got railroaded or something, you know, he might want to give it another shot.
And also, let me say, it's interesting to me that I've read some articles that talked a little bit about the decision by the Vikings to give this humongous contract to one Kirk Cousins because he was supposed to take you to the promised land.
Right. So he's been there long enough for them to realize that that's not going to happen. Right.
Of course, if they had listened to Ben and Barry on football way back then, they would not have gone in that direction.
Yeah, and I didn't say that I thought that he would, but you didn't think he would. I didn't say that I didn't think he would, but what I did say was I believed that that's why they got him. I believe that that's why they guaranteed him all that money because they really believed that he was the missing piece. He has since proven not to be the missing piece. So where they go now is anybody's guess.
Absolutely. Okay, so to finish up the NFL head coach, GMs, any other surprise? The one thing I hope they don't do is I hope they don't fire the Texans coach. I think that would be a miscarriage of justice.
I agree. And the fact that it hasn't happened yet is kind of a good sign.
Yeah, the promising young quarterback now, you know.
Yeah.
If they can, I don't, you know, it's funny. Two intractable issues, it seems to me. One is with the Texans and their quarterback, or former quarterback, Deshaun Watson. And the other is the Sixers and Ben Simmons. It just seems like there's two situations where there's a contract, there's a person, and we just can't just walk away from this relationship. It just, you know, it just won't happen. It's intractable. That's what the word is.
And it's a black cloud. It's a black cloud hanging over the team.
Man, you know, and even as a team that says they're interested, you have to look at them and go, how can you be interested at this point? You don't know if this guy's going to be in the penitentiary for 20 years or just, you know, a lawsuit to take everything he has. You know he can play ball. That we know, you know. But, you know, hey, you know, the question is the trade-off and the headaches and is he going to actually be able to play ball? Because if you did bring him over, he still has to deal with discipline from the league. He hasn't really been disciplined by the league yet, much less the civil and criminal justice system. Right. So, you know, just big question marks there for any head coach to have to be coaching under. But, you know, minus Deshaun Watson, you know, they actually are starting to show up a little bit, you know, and, you know, so I hope he doesn't get fired. All right. What do we have next? Let's see. Just want to mention, go to Ben and Barry on football. We have the top performers of 2021 from Pro Football Focus. And the way that they did this article, Benny, is they talk about the number of weeks during the season that these particular players had a rating of 90 plus by Pro Football Focus. So they start out with the players who were on for 3 weeks out of the season, then they go 4 weeks out of the season, then they go 5, 6, you know.
Cool.
So that's kind of how they did this article. I had to take a look at it and make sure I understood what they were doing. So yeah, check the article out. And I think that, and it also helps because a lot of the ratings are on linemen. This isn't all skill positions, so fantasy people can get something out of it too. But if you're just looking to see, okay, who's right now still in, that you're going to have to deal with as far as a lineman, that might also swing your thoughts about who you think might win in a particular game when it comes down to the line of scrimmage and the battle there. All right, Benny, you're more of the college football guy. Andrew Luck, Champ Bailey, Rashaan Salam headline the 2022 College Football Hall of Fame class.
I have no problem with those three selections at all. All three great college players. The one guy that didn't quite make it in the NFL was Rashaan Salam, who is pictured there for Colorado. But he was a great college football player. He was a great running back at Colorado, man. I think for some reason, did he play with Cordell Stewart? I think Cordell Stewart was his quarterback. I could be wrong on that. But anyway, congratulations to those three. Champ Bailey, obviously one of the great defensive backs of all time. Andrew Luck in his short NFL career showed great promise as being an elite NFL quarterback. And, Rashaan Salam, great college running back, put up big numbers, scored a lot of touchdowns. Colorado was on TV like every week back then.
Do you remember Andrew Luck? I know you do, but I don't really remember him in college. Well, let's see. Stanford.
There you go. Pac-12. I was right. Stanford. No, I'm sorry. Stanford's Big Ten. Either way, West Coast guy, played for Stanford, very intelligent, big arm. Injuries got to him. He was looking to be a really elite quarterback for years to come, but too many concussions, too many hits. Yeah, and I saw a picture of him the other day. He looked a mess.
Really?
Oh God, yes. He's real skinny, and he's got that long neck, right? So when you got a long neck, if you're an athlete and it's long and it's a thick neck, it kind of looks okay. But then when you're not an athlete anymore and it becomes a long, skinny neck, then you look weird. But that's my opinion.
It's funny that you say that. I'm looking at Good Morning Football, and they have what's his name, the little running back.
Oh, MJD.
MJD. And it's funny because MJD, from like all of this is jacked up. So he's sitting there the whole time. Everything's jacked up. But from the chair down, everybody, they have a footrest ring because they have like bar type chairs.
Yeah, right.
Everybody else, their feet are just resting on the ring, and he's toes down to touch it.
Yeah, he's only like 5'8".
and they're busting his chops because he's like, I'm a West Coast guy. I'm over here on the East Coast. I got to be here at like 4 a.m. He's like, his time is all messed up. So he's struggling on that show. But okay, College Football Hall of Fame. Hey, congratulations to the Women's Football Alliance. They signed a TV network deal with ESPN2 for their Pro National Championship game.
Just for the game, not a season.
For this game that I know.
This game? Okay, that's cool. Does it say when the game is? I'd like to watch that.
Yeah. I'd have to, tell everybody, hey, check the link on here and it'll tell you.
Okay.
But I did want to mention that this is on Ben and Barry on football. So we do try to give the ladies some love, some respect. And we're looking to see some serious football coming out of them. The Eagles have a young lady who is in this coaching administration carousel that's going on, is apparently getting some looks from other teams. and she's in their personnel department or something of that nature. I don't really know. Remember her name? It was just something that popped across the screen real quick. So, and I didn't know that they had, what their female representation in their football administration looked like. So,
that's pretty cool. She's in personnel.
She's somewhere up in there, yeah. So everybody check out the Eagles, and you can find that information. I just want to throw that out. We always try to talk about something positive on Ben and Barry on football that the NFL is doing. As with anything in life, there's a positive and a negative, and you want to, negatives come out, and that word travels like wildfire without much help. Sometimes the good news needs a little help to get out there. Cam Jordan of the New Orleans Saints works with the Center for Policing Equity, which is an organization that the NFL has provided grant money to. That organization is committed to collecting data that helps law enforcement agencies identify ways to improve their relationships with communities that they serve. So, the NFL committed to $88 million for social equity after the George Floyd incidents and all of the things that happened with, in the NFL, and they became somewhat more woke, and really decided to support. So they're really putting out a lot of money, and this is just Cam Jordan's particular area of interest. And so, I just wanted to mention that. You can go there and read a little bit more about that. And it's found that NFL inspired change. So there you go. Well, that's about it. That's our good news. Thanks for following. Please leave comments and suggestions. Any final comments, Mr. Dickerson?
Well, my players just left a little while ago. They reminded me that we do have a workout this afternoon. I haven't gotten the time yet. Probably just a light workout, a walkthrough to prepare for our first game tomorrow. I believe we play the winner of two teams that we've played before in the past. So we'll be able to sort of kind of put together a little game plan for whoever comes out of that. I kind of think I know who's going to win that. I got the bias on that one.
The bias.
Yeah, I got the bias on that one. But we'll see. So we're going to do a little walkthrough today. And tomorrow, the tournament begins.
Tomorrow. Today is like Thursday. Tomorrow's Friday. So the tournament kicks off on Friday. One of the things that always impressed me when you guys do these tournaments is the amount of games that you play over a weekend.
Bro, Division I, I think, has about 18 to 20 teams. Division II has like 30 friggin' teams, man. It's ridiculous. Division III probably has more. This is crazy. You might have, if you lose a game, this is a double elimination tournament. So under normal circumstances, 3-day double elimination tournament. It means as soon as you lose 2 games, you're done, okay? So that means you come out Friday. Let's say Friday you play your first game and you lose. If you lose your first game, you go back to your vacation home and you chill. You come back Saturday and you go to the losers bracket, and you could possibly have to play 3, 4, or 5 games on Saturday.
On Saturday and one
because
day?
There's so many teams. You have to knock it. Everybody that you play Saturday has one loss, just like you do.
Oh my God.
So every time you win, you knock them out. You win, you knock them out. You win, you knock them out. That has to go on to whittle down to what's going to happen on Sunday.
Wow.
So you have winners bracket winner, losers bracket winner, undefeated team. That's who has to mush it out on Sunday. Now, 35 and over, which is what we're playing, I believe there's only 13 teams, which is good for a bunch of old guys.
Right.
If you lose, you don't have to play. There's still a possibility you have to play 5 or 6 games to go all the way.
Wow.
But it's over 3 days.
Okay.
So hopefully we get out there tomorrow. We win our first game. We win the first game, we'll probably play a second game. If we win that second game, we're probably done for the day and come back Saturday. That's usually how it works out.
All right. That's an aspect of the whole flag football weekend that I think a lot of people probably don't appreciate or don't really understand, and I just know from talking to you and my son and all the time that you guys have been going to these tournaments that there was a lot of games being played. I didn't always know how many or why. That gives us a much clearer picture that, you lose first day and the next day it's a scrap, man. Everybody's scrapping because everybody's one and done. Man, that's crazy. All right, last words?
Last words is go Legends.
Go Legends.